Hey guys, we are here in Mount Airy, North Carolina, known as Mayberry, the hometown of Andy Griffin. So come and follow me and I'll take you on an adventure. Here's this, it says eat more ground steaks. I'll show you that. We are outside the museum, the Andy Griffin Playhouse. I should come and show you the Andy Griffin and Opie. If anybody knows who this is, Donna Fargo. And one of the pigeons. Hey guys, we are coming up here on the Mayberry Courthouse. Go in. Got Floyd, Opie, Andy, Barney, Otis, Aunt Bee, Goober. These are the real signs. There's Eastern Boy.
There's where Barney always sit.
There's Andy's desk.
Well, not the same water cooler, but it's water cooler.
Well, Barney sat at typed and all the other. There's the telephone. That.
Yes, like it was in the TV show.
There's that room we always went into.
There's Barney. Barney 5. They still have the key. Still hanging here between the sails.
And this was.
Now this sail would be Otis sail. Otis, that's his name, Otis.
And there's this sink.
Which as you can see, there's a picture of him over there on the wall.
This one had a record player. There's the key. Huh.
There's the old furnace that they had.
There's the TV.
This is pretty awesome.
And there's Barney. Barney 5.
Alright guys, I'm gonna move on.
Yeah, like Eastern Boy said, it's time to move on. I'll show you some more stuff, hopefully. Here's Wally's tow truck. And there's Ellie's ice cream parlor. There's the Mayberry Hotel. The Darlings truck. Here we're coming up on the B. Darling farm. It's a replica of the B. Darling farm.
There's a couple guitars between there and the porch. Of course, they play music. This is a replica. Here it looks like down inside the old cabin. And they're playing some music. He's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a picture showing them sitting inside the cabin. Showing this. Here's old telephone booth. Something you don't ever see anymore. Here at Wally's service station. Yeah. There we go. Better sign of the Wally's. Guys, we're about to get in this squad car, take a tour of Mayberry. So come ride.
What about seatbelts?
No, we don't use them. I've been doing this 5 years. I ain't never wore one. I hate a seatbelt.
Yeah, I know.
Where y'all from?
We're from Greenville.
I'll be more than glad to try to answer it. We'll be telling you a lot about Andy Griffith on this tour.
All right.
The Andy Griffith story really started right here,
Okay.
but none of the show was filmed here. That's what a lot of people think that it was filmed. It was located in about 10 minutes north of Hollywood. But Andy put a lot of his hometown in that show, the way it looked when he was a young man. Andy was born on June the 1st, 1926. He was an only child named Andrew Samuel Griffith. That was his real birth given name. Andy was married 3 times, but he never fathered any children with either marriage. We don't think Andy could bear children. Don't think Andy could have children. 3 women that couldn't would be pretty rare. But Andy wanted children because he adopted 2 with his first wife. They got a little boy and girl, 3 and 4 years old, that were brother and sister. They kept them together, raised them like they were their own. Okay. The girl is still living. She's 65 years old, lives in Denver, Colorado. She'll be here tomorrow if she's not going to get here this evening, but she comes to Mayberry Days every year. She's a real nice young lady, and she doesn't look her age at all. Andy's adopted son is no longer living. He passed away when he was 30-some years old. Now, Andy made over 20 movies in his life. I think he made 22. He played Mean Men in about half of them. His very first movie, in 1957, he played one of the meanest characters you've ever seen. The movie was called A Face in the Crowd. If you've never seen that movie, see it. You just won't believe what a mean role Andy Griffith played in that movie. His next movie was No Time for Sergeants. That's the one most people have seen. Andy and Don Knotts were in that movie together. Andy Griffith and Don met in New York City. Most men that left their hometown and go to New York to try to get into show business. Don wasn't from here. Don was born in Morgantown, West Virginia. He was born in 1924. Don Knotts was 2 years older than Andy Griffith. His real name was Jesse Donald Knotts. So just like Andy Griffith, he used his real name throughout his whole career. Don was one of three children in his family. He was also married 3 times. Him and Andy both had younger wives the 3rd time. Andy's 3rd wife was 26 years younger than Andy, but they were married 30 years until Andy passed away. He said many times that was his happiest marriage ever. Well, Don's 3rd wife can see how big this thing is.
It's massive.
It's a mile across right here, a mile wide, almost a mile and a half long. From that left corner where that tile is, all the way around to the right is almost a mile and a half. But the amazing thing is, this place has been in business since 1879. They've took a huge amount of stuff out of here, but it's still a mile deep. They've just scratched the top off of it.
Sound like they got a way to go.
Oh yeah. This and the Great Wall of China is the only two things that they can see from space. They can actually see this from space.
It's amazing.
They sell a lot of gravel. They don't make gravel out of everything. They make building blocks, tombstones, curbing. But all the rubble, little pieces, they make gravel. They even sell the dust. I backed up too far. All that big pile right down yonder to my left is dust. Now who buys that? Concrete people.
Right.
If you want stronger cement or concrete, you mix granite dust. Now they got new owners coming in October. That's the reason ain't nothing going on now. They've shut it down until about the middle of October. They've had engineers in here working, and they've been pulling out a lot of old machinery that's dilapidated. They're going to put in some new machines and open back up in the middle of October, hopefully with a few more jobs. There was 1,000 men working here in 1900. It was the biggest employer in this whole county. When they shut this place down in June of this year, there was 22 employees.
Well,
They hadn't made no money in 5 years. The company that owned them broke them. Canadian-based company.
it's slowly trying to come back.
Yeah. The company that bought them is a pretty well-off outfit, Richmond, Virginia. Luckstone is the name of it. They got about 6 quarries. They paid $9 million for that.
My goodness, it's quite good money.
Well, it's really a bargain for the biggest quarry in the world.
Yeah.
But if they can't make it work, nobody can.
Well, hopefully they kick off.
I hope so. We're really excited about it. They should be something new going on.
That's their comedy.
Now, Ronnie Howard was the kid that played Opie Taylor. Ronnie was born in Oklahoma, a little town called Duncan, Oklahoma. When Ronnie was just a 3-year-old boy, his dad moved the whole family to Hollywood, thinking he might get Ronnie into show business. Well, he did. He really ended up getting both boys into show business. Ronnie's brother, Clint, was born in California. When Clint was on the show, he was that little boy with the cowboy suit that carried that peanut butter and jelly sandwich around with him.
Right.
That was Ronnie Howard's real little brother.
Well,
He never spoke a word on the show. He was in one of Ronnie's movies, Apollo 13. He's been in several other movies, and he's been on TV a lot when he was 10 years old. A show called Gentle Ben about a big black bear, a little cute blonde-headed boy, and that was Clint. Now he's like Ronnie, he ain't got no hair hardly. They lose their hair.
yeah.
Ronnie's daddy went bald when he was about 50. Ronnie's about bald, and his brother is too. Ronnie Howard is worth a lot of money from making movies, not from acting, even though he was a highly successful actor. But he made a killing directing movies. Every movie Ronnie made's been a home run.
Right.
What I've read about Ronnie says he's worth around $800 million.
My goodness.
When Andy Griffith died in 2012, he Yeah.
Yeah.
And her and Andy had some disagreements. Aunt Bee thought she knew more about doing the show than Andy did because she'd been on Broadway. She'd been a Shakespeare stage actress. But Andy was the boss. Whatever Andy said went, and if Andy didn't like it, it didn't happen. So him and Aunt Bee had a few heated disagreements. Now Gomer and Goober was both from Alabama. They'd never met till they got on the show, but they were raised 100 miles apart. George Lindsay played Goober. He was raised in Jasper, Alabama. Gomer was played by Jim Neighbors. He was raised in Sylacauga, Alabama. And they were not kin. Now the oldest granite building in town is that one. That was built over 150 years ago. Every piece of stone in that building had to be made by hand. That's the only way they could do it back in those days. That little boy wants me to blow that siren every time he sees me. And this is Main Street. Downtown Mayberry is a real lucky town. Most little towns this size in the south are ghost towns by now. But we've been blessed with a lot of business, a lot of tourism, and Mayberry is really in good shape.
It's a nice little town.
This old big building here was built in 1924. You can see the granite foundation that's been holding it up all that time.
I came from the rock quarry.
Yeah, oh yeah. They say there's over 50 buildings in town built out of it. Some of them are houses, some of them are churches, banks. Straight ahead is probably the best money we've ever spent to honor Andy Griffith. That was painted 4.5 years ago by a magician, is what I call it.
Yeah.
He painted every bit of that with spray paint. Never picked up a brush.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's amazing.
Took him almost 3 months to do it. 60-year chunk of Andy's life. From a 23-year-old to an 83-year-old.
That is so amazing.
Can you see the mountain right in the middle?
Yeah.
Pilot Mountain.
Yeah.
That's 10 miles down the road, and that's what Andy Griffith called Mount Pilot.
Right.
He flipped the name because Mount Pilot sounds more like a town, like Mount Airy.
Right.
Right up here on the left, this used to be the biggest granite building in town that was a bank. It's no longer a bank. That was built in the early 30s. Some of the biggest pieces of rock in town are in that building. The very first bank ever built here was that one. First granite bank. It was built in 1923. There's that old car. That thing's like new. I mean, it's just like new all over.
You said that was the 1960s.
60.
And this was a 1967 when we were in.
There's Barney over there with him. Now right over here on the right, you'll see another mural painted by the same kid that painted Andy's. That's Donna Fargo. She was one of the most famous female country stars ever. She won a Grammy before Dolly Parton or Loretta Lynn either one.
Really?
She was born and raised about a mile from the quarry. I hope that guy knows that car is getting it back up. But that boy painted that with spray paint too. That's unreal, man.
Yeah, it is. You've done a very good job.
Yes. Now right down here you'll see Floyd's Barber Shop and Snappy Lunch. Two places Andy went to a lot when he was a young man living here in Mayberry. Floyd's is where he got his haircut. They've been there 97 years. Andy started getting haircuts there at about 8 or 10 years old. Snappy Lunch, been there since 1923. 3 years before Andy was born. Andy loved hot dogs. That's the reason Matlock eats them. And when he was a 12-year-old boy, he said he could get a hot dog and a drink at Snappy Lunch for a dime. Both of them for a dime.
Cheap back then.
Yeah.
can't get that now.
No, sir. The Easter Brothers, one of the biggest names in gospel music, they were born and raised here in Mayberry, and they ran that music store until they passed away. James Easter's wife still runs it today. Over here is a mural showing the Easter Brothers. Now that was painted by a different artist. It ain't as slick as them other two, but it's still pretty good because that's a rough wall.
Yeah, especially
I don't know how you done that good.
Say you use a lot of paint cans.
Oh yeah. Down here's a World War II memorial built out of granite. It's pretty neat. Every soldier from Surrey County that died in that war is listed on that wall. One up the hill a little ways with the blue on top is Vietnam. Brick building. Andy went to grade school for the first 6 years of his education. The Andy Griffith Museum's on the corner there, full of stuff that was really on the show. Takes at least an hour to go through. The statues there were put up by TV Land, who owns the Andy Griffith Show now. The Playhouse was the old auditorium where they had assembly and talent shows and stuff. Andy went to talent show there when he was in 3rd grade. This used to be the playground. Andy Griffith could look right down yonder every day and see Pilot Mountain. See it right over the treetop.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That may be one more reason why Mount Pilot was mentioned over 100 times on the show. Andy saw it every day, if it was clear.
Basically, everything he done on the show reminded him of home.
90% of it really did. Andy's home place is right across from that big blue water tower. Of course, the water tower wasn't there until 1959, I think. Andy lived here until he went away to college. He never lived in that area again. He came back and looked after his mom and daddy, but he never owned a home or a property here. When he got to making pretty good money, he bought land on the coast of North Carolina. He loved that area. He really loved to fish. And Andy had a home on the coast as long as he lived. And that's the house he died in. He's buried really in the backyard of that house. Really, he's not buried in any public cemetery. He told one of his buddies here in Mayberry, he said, "Andy, are you going to be buried in Mayberry?" He said, "Absolutely not. I don't want people stomping on my grave making pictures."
Right.
He said, "I'm going to be buried in a private place." So he's buried behind his house. Now that's the house Andy grew up in. It's a pretty big house, really, but Andy made it bigger. The house ended right there where the porch ends when Andy lived here as a boy. 10 years later, Andy came back and added that big room on the right with all them windows for his mother, so he could have a living room and dining room. Well, Andy didn't do it because of his money, then he hired carpenters to build it.
Right.
You can stay in that house. It's the only actor's home in the country that you can spend the night in. It's owned by the local Hampton Inn here in Mayberry. Everything in it's 1930s. All the furniture looks just like it would have looked when Andy was a boy living here. I don't know what that Jaybird's going to do.
No idea. It's all right. Everything's still original.
I wonder that house still standing there.
Yeah.
They say it was built in 1917.
Wow.
Andy had a cousin that lived in that house, and they were really close, like brother and sister. First cousin. Her name ended up on the show about 40-some times. Juanita, the girl Barney called at the Bluebird Diner, was Andy's cousin's name back here in that area. This guy here, you remember Barney up on the street that I hollered at? This is where he lives. He puts his Halloween display up every year. 26 different characters, I think, that was all on the show. How about this one on the phone pole up here, Mr. and Beebe. Remember him?
Yeah, I remember him. This is a skeleton of all the people from the show.
Yeah. Pretty much all of them. There might be a few he's not got yet, but he says next year there's going to be more.
Still, it's pretty neat to look at it.
Yeah.
It's all right. Very creative.
There's about 7 or 8 down that way. Even the jinx there in the boat, see that hole sprung in it? Now Andy used his cousin in the show, her name, but he also used his grandma's name. Andy's grandmother's name was mentioned over 130 times. Every time they pick up the telephone, they say what?
I can't remember.
Sarah.
Sarah.
That was Andy's grandma's name living here in Mount Airy. Her full name was Sarah Taylor Griffith. Taylor was her maiden name. Andy's last name was Taylor, so he used her name in 2 places. One of the funniest men on the show was Otis Campbell. Him and Andy were real good pals, and Otis was played by a man that never drunk a drop in his life. He was a strong Christian. He didn't know what alcohol tastes like, but he knew how to act. And his name, Otis Campbell, came from 2 of Andy's best friends who were policemen here in Mount Airy. Otis Brinkley and Keith Campbell. That's where Otis Campbell's name came from.
Well,
They were still cops when the show came on. 25 years they were policemen here in Mount Airy. Another one of Andy's cousins, a second cousin named Wallace Smith. He ran this service station up here for 6 years where you got in my car. His nickname was Wally, so there really was a Wally, and he really ran a service station here in Andy's hometown.
that's pretty cool.
Bannertown was a little town mentioned about 6 or 8 times on the show. 2 miles out the road is a little community called Bannertown. There's an old restaurant out there that was 90 years old that Andy and his mom and dad ate at several times when Andy was still living here. It's called the Derby. It's one of the best restaurants in town. Real good home cooking at a low price. Service station was built in 1937. Andy was 11 years old.
That's pretty old then. That's an old place.
Boy, that's a big trike. Thing's quiet, ain't it?
Yeah.
Now that car that just pulled in is the oldest car we got. That's a 61.
61.
The back end of it looks a little bit like a 56 Thunderbird. The one in front of him is 63, and the guy standing beside of that car with that blue shirt on is the man that owns them all.
Okay.
And he does all the mechanic work on them.
Probably easy to work on too.
They are. He's a hot rider. He's always had hot rod cars. He's got 2 Camaros.
Well, guys, I'm going to end it right here. That was the tour of Mayberry, where Andy grew up in till he went to college. So I hope you like. Can you share, comment, and like? And subscribe if you ain't. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.